What's going on, everyone? Roy Dean here. Wanted to share something I've written. It's the introduction to Groundswell, my new project. It's Groundswell, the rise of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in America. And I thought I would share this, give you the flavor of the book, and hopefully, if you like what you hear, you'll support this project on Kickstarter. It's going to be a very special project. It's beautiful. I'm proud of it already, and I think you will be too. Okay, here we go. You can shape your jiu-jitsu future once you understand your history. Not all ideas resonate, but when they do, you know it in your bones. You feel it. The excitement is palpable long before the work begins. So when Josh Gold approached me about creating a book on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu masters and their narrative history of the art, I immediately jumped at the idea. It just felt right. Then it was time to roll up our sleeves and dive into the adventure, just as each of these pioneers had done. What you have in your hands is a disciplined labor of love, a quest for excellence, and a spotlight for truth on a powerful human technology we refer to as the art of Jiu-Jitsu. Our aim is to inspire generations of practitioners to involve themselves in that hero's journey that these 9 masters undertook on the mat and in their lives, with an understanding that the discipline they study is actually a continuum. It is a lineage of knowledge, tested, refined, transferred by touch, through many lands, beginning in India, moving through China, blossoming in Japan, exported to Brazil, simmered and spiced over time, eventually landing on the shores of America, then broadcast to the world in the first Ultimate Fighting Championship. Royce Gracie's universally inspiring performance at the inaugural UFC in 1993 launched a martial arts revolution of empirical evidence and scientific experimentation over appeals to authority or esoteric knowledge. His skill level was high as a risk of a no-rules confrontation taking place in front of a bloodthirsty and likely inebriated audience. And people wanted to do what he was doing, know what he knows, execute the power and restraint he displayed. But real teachers of the art were rare in those days. It would take time for legitimate ambassadors to disseminate this style and assemble across the country. The revolution that began out of Torrance, California at the Gracie Academy was simply not accessible to many, myself included, though it was understood that this is where Horion, Royce, and the other members of the prestigious Gracie family taught and trained. But the desire to learn in the populace was there, and a few brave souls answered the call to teach this elegant evolution of the perennial expression of power and softness, submission and control. There are many notable figures who played a large role in popularizing Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu over the last 30 years, and there are far too many to list here. However, our criteria focused on that first wave of warriors who arrived in the 1980s and 90s. Anyone who arrived after the year 2000 was respectfully excluded as a first-generation pioneer in the U.S. There were many hurdles in this endeavor, selecting and approaching who to interview, their interest in the vision for the project, scheduling availability, and their time frame for landing in America. Within that narrow time frame, the selections were in many ways personal. Who was leading the charge when I began training? Providing the environments to display and popularize the art. Competing at the highest levels. Who were the leaders of the art in the California scene? The original list of interviewees was heavily skewed toward the Gracie family, and over time this became an untenable limitation in itself. First, the Gracie narrative in BJJ could be considered the mainline story, fabled and oft repeated. Reinforcing what is already known, even if executed skillfully, would not be as insightful as a fresh look, could be boring if done in a mediocre fashion, and, as a worst-case scenario, slavishly propagandistic. Our aim was not to create a narrative or reinforce a hypothesis, but rather to share the direct experiences of those who did the work, who braved the challenges, who competed in public and private, who learned the business paths and cultural inroads of a new land. This required courage, grit, and the willingness to let go of the known and venture into the void, creating the early environments and a begrudging acceptance of the Brazilian style of Jiu Jitsu that modern practitioners now enjoy and all too often take for granted. The ordered list of names here is subjective, personally interesting, and far from exhaustive, but each interviewee represents a significant angle, lineage, geographical area, and approach to how the art grew. Pedro Sauer leads the book, with a sterling reputation and vast professional network of schools, deep technical knowledge, and a charismatic manner. His stories of struggle and triumph are forthright, entertaining, and inspirational. He carries the flame of self-defense techniques in jiu-jitsu, in accordance with the wishes of Grandmaster Helio Gracie. Fabio Santos was a friend and surfing partner of the legendary Rolls Gracie, before ever stepping on the mats to train. An early ally for Rorion's UFC showcase, he preceded the Gracie family to America and fought in many challenge matches to defend the art. His seeding of San Diego influenced many modern black belts and helped establish it as a second mecca of BJJ outside of LA. Joe Moreira is a master of judo and jiu-jitsu, rooted to the Gracie lineage through Francisco Mansour, and was an uchideshi or live-in student in Japan under the legendary world and Olympic champion Isao Okano. Open-minded and accepting, he shared the art generously with students that other teachers may have had reservations about, including my own instructor, Professor Roy Harris. Claudio Franza pioneered BJJ in Northern California as a non-Gracie athlete and instructor, in addition to being a Pan-American champion. His flagship event, the U.S. Open of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, set the standard for professionalism in an era where timings and schedules were more relaxed, and provided the blueprint for the modern IBJJF global competitions. He was also a gentleman in an era when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was shedding its thuggish reputation. Pedro Valente was a favorite nephew of Uncle Helio Gracie. His father, Pedro Sr., was a close family friend to Helio and Carlos Gracie and became an esteemed red belt practitioner. Pedro's historic knowledge and categorization is unsurpassed. He and his brothers preserved the Gracie spirit and lineage in their own way, essentially creating the Kodokan of Jiu-Jitsu with their expansive academy in North Miami Beach, Florida. Ricardo Frangija Miller is the epitome of a Brazilian embracing the American way, leading from the front, holding nothing back in his knowledge, and creating students that were better than their Brazilian counterparts. His dedication was infectious and inspiring to all that came close to him, and he fielded a deadly competition team of world champions and mixed martial artists. Steve Maxwell, as a purple belt, opened the first certified training center of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in Philadelphia, spreading the art to the East Coast and spawning a network of schools that continue to this day. He gives us a uniquely American perspective on the art, with a rare access to the Gracie family before and after the first UFCs. For decades, he's been regarded as one of the top physical fitness coaches in the country, traveling the world and eyeing Gracie Jiu-Jitsu through an interdisciplinary lens. He also holds the elite distinction of being Helson Gracie's first black belt ever awarded. Homero Jacare Cavalcanti is one of only 6 black belts promoted under Rolls Gracie, and is the co-founder of the powerhouse Aliança team. He's the instructor of Fabio Gurgel, Marcelo Garcia, Leo Vera, and many other champions. He's also had a major influence on the American Army Combatives program through his student Matt Larson, and is a member of the IBJJF Hall of Fame. Jean-Jacques Machado is the most decorated competitor within the Machado family and a renowned technician. Based on his stellar ADCC performances, he was the best submission grappler in the world at the turn of the century. In the words of one of his opponents, his technique is very special. Jean-Jacques' struggles in the early days of his transition to America and eventual triumphs is a reminder that the path was neither easy nor sure. Unfortunately, there's an amnesia of many great names in the art from the perspective of our generation, and even more will dip behind the mountain of recollection in the future. The aim of this book is to preserve the legacy of those names who helped establish the art in America, extending the narrative and elongating the sunset of human memory into a preserved portrait of strength and honor. It is on their shoulders which we all stand, as others will stand on ours, see farther, and invigorate the lives of those around them, in accordance with the original vision of Judo's founder, Jigoro Kano. We felt that this was the moment to capture their stories, and our entire team thanks you for supporting this effort. We hope it inspires you on your own path to self-discovery, mentorship, and personal mastery. So there it is. That's the intro that I penned for Groundswell, The Rise of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in America. Please support the project on Kickstarter. You will be really happy when you receive that book next year in 2026. It's a beautiful portrait of the art through 9 men who took a great chance, and we stand on their shoulders. Support the project. We'll see you in the next video.